Mriga Kure Saithareka Lenge Shukwe Ayo Popo Jimbo Dali Sigrina Saiti Kine Yom Hokene Tu Saya Nidi Tata Vido Malusi Tamari Chilware Suletgari Pyoto Karo Koiru Atene the Vayu Didi was Shajamio Yoram Hobo Jangam Yama Leve, Kinsha Jatavare. The Dipanana to Odeta Maleve Jatavare. Peragu Dite Polare Ayanego, Saya, Nita Davido, Mayaraha Kayaho did another Kayi Vare Suravodi for Piavuya, the Rivusanto to Odita, and a change of Yovame.
Yesterday, Sayadawgyi spoke about how when one focuses one's attention on the presently arising object to be observed in one's body, one doesn't just watch it, but applies its name, its label. And in doing this, it's easy for samadhi to arise. That's not just something that Sayadawgyi has made up. It's shown in the text, in the Mahasi Sutta, in the outline at the beginning called the Odesa. And so in order to show that every arising object, to label every arising object is in accordance with what the Buddha taught, Sayadawgyi would like to speak today.
Buddha Naswa Kurena Lena Yama Seti Lena Jinjo Yana Judiari for Piali Shivare. So to a Shawame Seti go show ye, Mishawlosi, Yana Piti or Leve, the Pegale for Piali Shivare. Good Ributan to a Samaro. That's what we are. A 2-year-old lady, Mela on body. Did each other caught her or Italy, Pasmazo, take a bit of your own.
The Buddha himself spoke about what it is that we should follow, what it is that we should observe, and the benefits that would be gained by doing so. He also spoke about what one should avoid, and if one doesn't avoid these things, the faults, the drawbacks which are incurred, which arise. So at the start of the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha very definitely spoke about the benefits gained from the practice. And first of all, Sayadawgyi would like to speak about this.
Sia Nada body. Ye don't jury pobia, Sagali. Ekayano ya Bhikkhu Maggo Satana Usudiya Soga Pridivana Samatikamaya Duga Domina Sana Atakamaya Nyayasa Digamaya, Nibanasa Sajikriya, Yadita Chataro Stipatana, the Yay of Tiachina, Sabai Pilit about it. Pekuru Idiga Yagaza Dagida, Yidi, Kiwis in Jebu. The Chaulidoki Ekayano, because the Chaulidoki. The show Nonang and Dariga, the Chaulidoki would do Machajin Yao. Now, when a Sarachi did a Hoyo or Hoyama, the Chaulidoki so that they are a kilo so about it. Teja the keys of the Siano through the Kanjava. The Maro saw so diabolic, Johnny Dog Kill with Hoya Mama Vedama. There was some Jotava. Ye the Johnny Dog keys with a barrow, and Johnny Dogino. The Lidian Sada of the Libatana. Ye the Johnny Dog keys with a hurry. The Liberty live above it. Go we are a poor, Mapiamala Soviet by Shumamu, to you. Kalamu is not a poor, Mapiamala Soviet by Shumamu, to you. Say they kid, I kid, I worry. Soviet by Shumara, to you. The war trader, we are a worry, a trader, we are a poor. Pamela Soviet or Shumaya than you leave you look at how it was.
At the start of the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha roared the lion's roar. He bravely said, as Sayadawgyi said, Ekayano eyan bekowe Maggo. Satanan Visuddhiya, Soka Paridevanam, Samatekamaya, Dukkha Domanasanam, Atangamaya, Nyayasa Adigamaya, Nibbanasa Sachikiriyaya, Yadidan Chataro Satipatthana. O monks, for the elimination of the defilements of raga and dosa, greed and anger, this is the single path, the only way. Westerners don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear these words, the only way, or the single path. If it's the single path, the one path, then it is a sure way. And if we explain it like this, as the sure way, then people can accept it. But at the start, Sayadawgyi must say according to what is in the text. So what is this single path, this only way? It's the four foundations of mindfulness. Every time a physical action arises, to observe it steadfastly. Every time feeling, Vedana, arises, to observe it steadfastly. Every time consciousness arises, to observe it steadfastly. Every time there are general phenomena arising, other actions, one should observe these steadfastly. So there are four kinds of satipatthana that the Buddha spoke about.
The Joe Loye Chazo Joe Janeva Lulong Kavaloga Gia Ayo Muribo Mavoli the Goleva Mijina, Jajina, Najina, Sajina, Tijina. Don't let it at Nari one. The Nari Shidala, the Nari Shidala, the Ayo Paisa Geno, Shaya Kuyara, Ayoni Yavi Solution or Lemluchi or Nanga the Kaya Sotara. The Ludabawati time. Kamago Ayo Shiran Divio Uzavi Pogori, Dara, Chanda Zonga to the Pogori solution or Edita Shitaba. So, Kukanzaki Ayo, the other Yara, let's see them, the other Yara, let's see them. The other Yara, so let's see a loga bit of Shiva. Kuchuza Luguago Yare Ayo. Matia level the Ionia. Kama level Matia Yura. Kisi Chanda, you know, the Yazi, Kisi Matia Yura. Don't worry. Nobody if you look at Jinabu, Dodari, Lepita. Dodari Matain, hello. Mukiti body, 2-3 Chizuri, no point later. I tell you the lower Dodari, a Kiko, Mamiana, Maikana, one. Moha to the one. Moha to the Maikana, the Wova, a Pimamiana. Edariha. Mimi Boa, Yipache, a younger Johnny. Every day, so let's say, Povito Seva. Tashina Saito, Kulubuari Yani Leve, Sayadaw, Boazi Yare Soya, Kua Kujene Ure, Kua Margin and Nare, Kua Legion Theatre, Kushiro Kusia, Sishiro Sixina, Kusuya the Saya, Gujuya the Saya Travel. Look at the body with Tazamo. The Kupa of my very Joni Rava. The Sia de Piala, the Resolution, body Pilu Rave. The body kitchen was in Argent Sadi, that it danced Havido. Body no Chalalucia. Chalia, Colo Piocuna, Guamsiro. Era Yuchi of her. Era Kaunalam, Kaunas or Yuchi of her. Kaune Kunin a kid on the Nale, you Dada, Yinalushi, Dao Memora of her. Yijana Kauna, what if she did, Yimam Yinjama, Chandalia, Neneli, Sia, Yaji, Tony. Poiro Buddha Sakura, body of shit at Chanda, Kure Shafiro, Hoja Tara, Amaga Jet, Yozum, Hoja Tara, Lecanelo. Yo, DC Viro, Jona to Sesapi, Yojira Bogoria. That's why we are so somewhat at time. Don't look here, to the good trip and Lanjao. Show you, shall look here. Shall we let come, however, city, Sijera, Chulu Sogari, Nipatari, the Digress in Jerry. Sitema City, Puyuk and Agri, the Digress Chikunio. Now, I think I need to the Kajaro. It is a Yoga Piatora. 15,000 and the Tayo Doravetama. Kure never gentle marriage, Kure gentone, the area of Yala, the Saint Hoja Tada. Sekuya Hore, the area to Kumam Pau. Amagan Peter Ravetama.
This is the essential benefit gained from practice, and this is enough. In the world at large, people want to see good things, hear good things, smell, taste, touch good things. And there's craving for good sense objects. And to the extent that there's craving, then one searches for the things that one wants, works to get them, and when one gets them, one holds on to them tightly so as not to let them go. So for people who place sense pleasures, give that the most priority, this is what happens. They think that this is happiness, and so this is how their lives go. But there are ways to get the things that one wants. And if one goes about obtaining the things that one wants through just methods, there's no fault in that. It's okay. But when one goes to unjust means to gain things that one wants in terms of sex or in terms of things that belong to others, taking things unjustly, that's not right. And just as there is greed for things, there's also dissatisfaction, anger. And when people cannot control their anger and dissatisfaction, then crimes are committed. And one doesn't see the fault of this when one engages in this. One doesn't see the fault. And this is moha, or blind delusion, stupidity, not seeing the fault of what is wrong. So these are the root causes for our being, for us to become defiled. And because of these, there's more suffering. One encounters more suffering. And one gets a new life. And in that new life, although one wants to remain young, one ages, one wants to be well, but one gets sick. One wants to experience happiness, but one encounters sadness. One wants to feel good, but one doesn't feel good. One wants to live, but one dies. And leave aside the idea of a past life, a previous life. Just in the present life, this is what we encounter. So where does this suffering come from? The suffering comes from getting a new existence. All these types of suffering line up and are there in our new life. So without a new life, these sufferings don't have any chance to come. So we have to choose, would this be good, not to have a new life, or not? And if we understand that this would be a good thing, not to encounter all these new sufferings, then we cherish and value not having a new life. We think this would be peaceful, not to have a new existence. And the Buddha himself, he searched for and found a way to put an end to future existences. And he taught this way. For those who have faith in this and who practice according to the instructions, who walk the path of satipatthana straight ahead, the mind becomes pure. The transgressive defilements, the ones that are acted out and spoken, those also are purified. The obsessive defilements also have no chance to arise. When knowledge arises, the very roots of the kilesas are eliminated, so one's situation becomes pure. So this, what Sayadawgyi is teaching, is what is handed down from the Buddha, the Dhamma that the Buddha taught. And it is not something imaginary, and it is guaranteed.
Kavadu Gavada Abhyasuruha Kujiyari Kichara စိတ်မတန်ရှင်းလို့စိတ်တွေညစ်ပတ်လို့ဖြစ်ကြတာပဲအကြည့်ဖြစ်ခြင်းအကြောင်းဒီလောဘဒေါသမောဟရိုးရိုးဖြစ်နေတဲ့လောဘဒေါသမောဟရိုးတဲ့လွန်ကဲပြီးတော့တစ်ဖက်ဆုံးရောက်နေတဲ့လောဘဒေါသမောဟဒါတွေရှိနေလို့ဆိုတာပါလေဒါတွေလွန်ကဲနေလို့အဲ့ဒီတရားစိုးတွေကလူတွေကိုလွှမ်းမိုးထားလို့သူတို့ကအနိုင်ယူနေလို့ဆိုတာပါလေဒီလိုနားလည်ရပါတယ်သူတို့လိုလိုက်ပြီးတော့မတော်တာတွေလျှောက်လို့တော့လူတွေဟာလမ်းမလိုက်တော့ရှင်းရတာပေါ့လမ်းမမတွေ့ဘဲနဲ့အဲ့ဒါကိုတကယ်အမှန်လို့ယူဆပြီးတော့အဲ့လိုရှိပို့ရှင်းရတာပါလေအဲ့ဒါတွေကိုမြတ်စွာဘုရားကအလုံးတော်ဘုရားတွေကမြင်ပြီးတော့တန်ရှင်းတဲ့လမ်းမှန်တော့ရှိရမှာပဲဆိုတော့ပါလေမတန်ရှင်းမှုတွေဖြစ်ရတာအပြစ်တွေဖြစ်ရတာဟာဒါဒီမတန်ရှင်းတဲ့လမ်းကြောင်းလိုက်လို့ဒီတော့သတ်သတ်ရှင်းချင်းလမ်းကြောင်းလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်တန်ရှင်းတဲ့အကျိုးတွေရမှာပဲဆိုတော့ဒီချက်ကိုစဉ်းစားပြီးတော့ပေါ့လေတန်ရှင်းတဲ့လမ်းကြောင်းမှာပါလဲဆိုတော့သိပြီးတော့အဲဒီတန်ရှင်းတဲ့လမ်းကြောင်းမှာရှာဖွေတွေ့လို့တဲ့အနေနဲ့ပေါ့လေမိမိကိုယ်တိုင်ဘဝပေါင်းများစွာဒါနဆက်ရှိတဲ့ပါရမီကြီးရှိဖို့ရတော့ပါရမီကြီးပြည့်စုံတဲ့အခါမှာအခုလိုတရားတွေအထုတ်တာကိုယ့်ကိုယ်ပြန်သုံးသပ်တာပေါ့လေကိုယ့်ကိုယ်ပြန်ကြည့်တာမိမိကပါလဲဆိုတာကိုယ့်ကိုယ်ပြန်ကြည့်တာပြန်ကြည့်တော့ကိုယ်ထဲမှာတကယ်ရှိအောင်ရှိနေတဲ့ယုံနာတရားတွေကြောင်းကျိုးဆက်ပုံနဲ့သူတို့ရဲ့မျက်စိရဲ့သဘောပဲဆိုတာတွေပေါ့လေဖြူစင်မြတ်သောပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဖြစ်ခြင်းရဲ့ရှေ့ပိုင်းပုဗ္ဗဘကလမ်းကြောင်းမှန်ကြီးပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒါတွေ့ပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီလမ်းကြောင်းမှန်ကြီးတိုင်းရှင်းသုံးတဲ့အခါမှာပေါ့လေဘောဆက်စုကပါလာတဲ့ခုနအညာသားတွေကိုအပြတ်ရှင်းနိုင်တဲ့အနေအထားကြီးရောက်သွားတော့ပဲလောကုတ္တရာလမ်းကြောင်းပေါ်တစ်ခါလေးရောက်ပြီးတော့တကယ်အေးချမ်းတဲ့ချမ်းသာကိုတွေ့သွားတာပဲကွာကိုယ်ရှာဖွေပြီးတော့ကိုယ်လည်းတွေ့ထားတဲ့တရားပါတောင်းလို့သတ္တနာဥသုတ်တိရဘုရားပြည့်စုံကရဟနာအစရှိတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်များရဲ့စိတ်ရည်ကြည်ကင်းဝတ်ရှိကြဖို့ရအတွက်တကြောင်းဒီပဲတဲ့သိကြတဲ့လမ်းပဲအဲ့ဒါကာယဝိညာဉ်စိတ်ဓာတ်ဓမ္မရှုခွင့်ချက်၄မျိုးတွေကအသေးစိတ်ပေါ်လာတဲ့ရှုခွက်ကလေးတွေကိုမပြတ်မလားဆွေးမြဲစွာရှုမှတ်တဲ့တတိပဋ္ဌာန်ပါပဲတဲ့။သိချင်းတဲ့လမ်းကြောင်းလက်စော်ပြကိုယ်လေးကျင့်ထားတာကိုတိတိကျကျညွှန်ပြပါလေ။
Most people of the world do not keep good morality because their minds are not clean. The cause for immorality is greed, hatred, and delusion, lobha, dosa, and moha. Ordinary greed, hatred, and delusion. Extreme greed, hatred, and delusion. And because these are there, because these are extreme, because they overwhelm beings and gain a victory. This is what happens. This is why our actions are impure. So one has to understand this. And people follow, they give in to the will of the kilesas, these defilements, and do wrong because of that. And they follow the wrong path, and this brings them suffering. And further, they don't find the right path, which is even worse. So, the Buddha in the past he thought, there must be a path to purity. Just as there is defilement and a way that beings become defiled, so too there must be purity and a way to become pure. And if one follows this path of purity, one will gain that purity. So he thought, what is this path of purity? He searched for and found it. And in order to find the path, he fulfilled the perfections, beginning with generosity or dana, over many, many lifetimes. And when he had fulfilled the perfections, he practiced the Dhamma. He reflected on himself. He looked at himself. And he saw that in him there's mind and matter, and that these are related as cause and effect. He saw how they arise and then pass away, how they are suffering, and how they do not have any inherent self. He saw the forerunner path, the path which precedes the noble path. And when he practiced it, the defilements were eliminated, and he gained the noble path and true peace. So this is what is mentioned, satanang visuddhya. This is the path for the purification of beings. The Buddha walked this path. The silent Buddhas, the enlightened ones, they walked this path. The path is to observe the newly arising object, kaya, or physicality, vedana, feeling, chitta, consciousness, and dhamma, general objects. The path of satipatthana is to observe these newly arising objects of four kinds. And he taught exactly the path that he walked.
Di tripta lanjang lai lo shi ye. Chi ma ni mya so ko le di du mya le di. A myen song nyan ji shin phit nai le. Now dutiya da du mya ma ho nai daw maတူတဲ့အနေနဲ့ထူးခြားတဲ့ဉာဏ်ကြီးရှိနေဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်အများနည်းတူပေါ့လေဉာဏ်ကြီးရှိလည်းဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်ဖြူစင်မြတ်သူဖြစ်နေတယ်သူကတော့ဒါတော့အမြင့်ဆုံးညီကြည့်တဲ့ကိပြီးတော့ဉာဏ်ကြီးရှိဆိုတာကတော့ဗုဒ္ဓတဆူပဲရှိတာပဲကိုယ်တိုင်တန်ရှင်းပြီးတော့သူများမဟောနိုင်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဆိုတာကတော့ဘုန်းကြီးတို့စာပေထဲမှာပစ္စည်းကဗုဒ္ဓလို့ဆိုထားပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီအောက်အရိယပုဂ္ဂလဆိုတာရှိပါတယ်တသက်စာဆိုနေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သောတပန်တဂရကအနာဂါယဟနာဆိုတာပေါ့လေသူတို့ကတော့ရှိမျိုးဖြစ်ရှိပါတယ်သူကတော့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်လေးအရိယပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ရှိရုပ်ရှိမျိုးပေါ့လေသူတို့ကတော့တမညာအရိယဖြစ်ုံတော့ပဲအရိယဆိုတာဖြူစင်တန်ရှင်းတာပါလေကိလေသာထူပြောတဲ့ပုရုษေနဲ့အစစ်မြင့်တာကိုအဲ့ဒါအရိယလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်တော့ပါအနည်းဆုံးအဲ့ဒီအစစ်အထိဒီတိဋ္ဌာလက်တွေ့တိဋ္ဌာဘာဝနာတရားကအမဂန်ချက်ပြပါတယ်
If one follows this path of satipatthana, one can become the highest kind of wise being, one who knows himself and who also can teach others. And if not that, then one also can become one with this great knowledge, but who is not able to teach others. The one who possesses the highest level of knowledge is the Buddha, and there is only one. And the next highest is someone who has that wisdom, but is not able to teach it to others. And it's called, in English we call it a silent Buddha, Pajjeka Buddha. And then following that, there are noble ones in terms of their Pali names: Sotapanna, or stream winner; Sakadagami, or once returner; Anagami, non-returner; and Arahant, a pure one. So there are 8 kinds of persons who are noble, and these are ordinary noble people. Arya means pure, and these beings are higher than ordinary worldlings, putujanas, who are thick with kilesas. And one is guaranteed to at least reach this stage through practicing the path of Satipatthana.
Fiayo, Piao, and Loga. Fiayo, Kura, Netu, Kilitagaro. Hello, Chantan Kilitari, Goro. Julon Sogare Kilitari, Goro. Will it be that is Shawame, so the Count Janet Shawabare? Two people TV. Sedem of Sin and Priutana, Tongana Kilitari, or a good old Seko. Yideo Tavido body through Pikumia or Kawaya. Fiamalagi, Julian Kaway the body. Yoga Yoki Julian Kaway the logo. Yoga Pilaruchi Chichiku Betawe. Kaway the Wova the world. Edru Kaway Wamialu secretly Tanshin of his Rochi. A dinner is a kitty kama. When I did it, I only want my body. Nago a swelly. Kaita, new pepper. The Uber the Nakaitama. Say my lady pepper, and do the agilitary. Now, say, I may pit or a Kajaro, a tea body. The Kari pepper. No time I wrote them at a new body. At a nuclear Kirita Kane over at them. At a Aria Sura Utamol Patito Dolo Point Havare. So you take the only Kirita gave you Sinche Dwara, Sinche Duchita. Messenger Yipaye, Otanjari, he not hit our. Sages Wavis Ross, Sentan Yintora, Otomo, Aria Sura, Chusin Nimia to Titor, Aria Titor of the Roma. Very essential Yao. Nigeri Mandamia, Golum Contois. For the telephone Pavana Tiaga to Amakantava, Ekayano Soda. Kay the Tijare, Lanse, and so Tava. Let the look Amakanje, Yogo. Putama Tava, Pepokoma, to Amakanje, Yea to Amakanje, Puta to Sube Amakanje, Logi, is that man.
In beings, there are the loba, dosa, and moha, greed, hatred, and delusion, have three levels. Or the first is the transgressive level, that is acted out or expressed in speech and action. The second level is those they're called obsessive kilesas that exist in the mind. And then the third level is the level that lies dormant, latent. They haven't been uprooted. So in terms of Pali, the transgressive kilesas are called vitikama kilesas. The obsessive ones are called pariyotana kilesas, and the latent or dormant level is called anusaya kilesas. And among these three kinds of kilesas or defilements, the transgressive level is the worst. So when lobha, dosa, and moha occur when we act on these, people, for example, because of extreme greed, people steal, or they harm other people sexually, or they lie for their own benefit. They do such things. And when people are not able to control their anger, they do things such as torture and kill. People also experience envy, jealousy, and because one cannot control these, one works to destroy others. One lies to harm others because of one's anger. And So because these people do not yet have the ability to consider what is it that is beneficial to do and say or plan, what is it that is not beneficial, what is suitable to do, and what is not suitable to do. Because they don't yet have this knowledge, they commit wrong acts and become quite stupid. So transgressive, lobha, dosa, and moha, this is the worst level, the level that is acted out or spoken on. And from where do these come from? They come from the obsessive kilesas that are in our minds, that arise in our mind. And if these obsessive kilesas become aroused, they can turn into transgressive ones. One acts on them when they become activated, when they become strong enough. Kilesas are similar to a disease like malaria. So one can have a very high fever, say up even to 106, could be very bad. One could even become unconscious or delirious from a very high fever. And this is like the transgressive kilesas. And then if we take medicine, the fever drops maybe down to 100 or so. And this is like the obsessive levels of kilesas. It's still there, but not so bad. And when we continue to take the medicine, the fever isn't constant anymore. It happens every other day or every 3 days. The fever will arise. And as we continue to take the medicine, if the fever gets out of control again, we get a high fever, then we have to take medicine to bring it back down. And the fever that is low level, we have to take the medicine to continue to suppress it. And the kilesas are like this. So at the grossest level, the transgressive kilesas, we need to control these by refraining from them. And this is called virati. This is how we avoid the transgressive level. And we do this because we know the drawbacks of transgressions. The obsessive kilesas, or the pariyotana kilesas, for these we need to calm the mind, the way the yogis are doing now, so that they don't arise. And this is like preventive medicine, preventing a disease before it occurs. And with this also, if the disease, like with a disease, if it does happen, even though we're taking preventive measures, then we take action at once to cure it. So if we calm the mind a lot, if we cure the kilesa disease with, if we are able to do a lot of curing of the obsessive levels of kilesas, the mind will become clean. And what will happen is when knowledge arises, when one observes an object and knows it quite well, when one knows the object well or thoroughly, then the latent kilesas that are related to that object are eliminated in the moment of vipassana. This is how the latent kilesas are eliminated. They are eliminated on a momentary basis when we know an object. And when past knowledge arises, the kilesas are uprooted. Each level of the path eliminates a different set of kilesas. And then the latent kilesas, the latent defilements, anusya kilesas, are completely uprooted by past knowledge. And one becomes Arya. And this word Arya, its meaning is described as parisuddho. That means to be pure. Why? Because of being free of these roots of the kilesas. If one is not clean, then this is low or hina in Pali. But if one is pure, this is high level, uttamo. This is excellent. And this satipatthana path is guaranteed to eliminate the mental defilements, the dirt of the kilesas, and to go to an Arya level. So this is why it is said Ekayano. This is a sure path, the sure path. And no person besides the Buddha could give this guarantee. To try this and see, it is sure to work.
Lu ye lu phit la bi so lo chhe yin sao ni pye le bi do lu ne mu sin da ni yong nya ne ma pi ba bu lu ti nyan shi pho ye chi ba de lu ti nyan shi pho so da ga တကယ်လမ်းကြောင်းမှန်ကိုသိရမယ်ဒီလမ်းကြောင်းမှာမှန်တယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေလမ်းကြောင်းမှန်ကိုရှာဖွေရပါတယ်လမ်းကြောင်းမှရှာဖွေလို့ကျင့်တတ်ပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီလမ်းကြောင်းတိုင်းလျှောက်ကြည့်လို့ရှိရင်လမ်းမှန်လျှောက်တော့စခန်းမှရောက်မှာပဲဒါသိကြရဲ့စခန်းမှရောက်လို့ရှိရင်ခုနတူလို့နဲ့မဝေကွဲနိုင်တဲ့ဝိမတိဆိုတာပေါ့ဝိမတိဆိုတာယုံမှားတွေပေါ့အဲ့ဒါတွေလည်းလိုကင်းသွားမှာပဲလမ်းမှမသိသေးတော့လမ်းမှလို့ထင်မှပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီတိုင်းရှောက်ကြတာမျိုးလည်းရှိပါတယ်ဓမ္မသီလပရပရမာတဆိုတာပေါ့လေဒီလိုအကျင့်မျိုးဒီလိုအလေးမျိုးရှိလို့ရှိရင်သရှိစင်ကြယ်တယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေမြက်ကန်းကြည့်ကျင့်တာတွေပေါ့အဲ့ဒါမျိုးလည်းကျင့်သွားမှာပဲပထမဆုံးလူသားတွေဟာအဲ့ဒါသိအရေးကြီးပါတယ်အကျင့်လမ်းမှတွေ့ဖို့ရအတွက်ရှာဖွေဖို့ဒါသိအရေးကြီးပါတယ်ဘုရားမြတ်စွာဘုရားဒီကာယနာမေကောဆိုတာပေါ့လေအကျင့်လမ်းမှပဲတဲ့သိကြတဲ့အကျင့်လမ်းမှပဲတဲ့အမကကျပြီးပြီးတော့ဟောထားပါတယ်ကြည်အကျိုးပြုဖြစ်မှာပဲဒါသိကြတယ်ဒီလမ်းကြောင်းမှန်တယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်စန္ဒဘာဝါနဲ့ပေါ့လေခုနကိုလမ်းမှန်လို့ဒီလမ်းမှန်လို့ကိုယူဆမှန်လို့ဒီဆွမှန်လို့ဆိုတာပေါ့လေမဝေခွဲနိုင်တာတွေလည်းဒါတွေလည်းကျင်းသွားမယ်အဲ့ဒါလို့သက္ကုမကုအချိန်မှာပေါ့လေလမ်းမှန်လို့ထင်မှပြီးတော့လမ်းလေးတွေလိုက်တာလည်းပဲအဲ့ဒါလည်းပဲကျင်းသွားမယ်အဲ့ဒါသိရေးကြည့်ပါလေအဲ့ဒါကိုစဉ်းစားတတ်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဟာယခုအသက်ရှင်စဉ်ကာလမှာလည်းပဲလူပိသအောင်နေတဲ့နည်းလူလိုစိတ်ထားတတ်အောင်နေတဲ့နည်းလူသိဉာဏ်ရှိပြီးတော့လူထက်လူဖြစ်အောင်ကျင့်တဲ့နည်းဆိုတာပါမရမနေရှာဖွေတော့တာပါပဲ
If we are human, it's not enough just to have enough to eat and drink and to wear and to have a good standard of life. It's important to behave like a true human, and it's important to have human knowledge. So what we need to know is what is the right path. This path is right. So we need to search for the right way to go. And if we find this right path and are satisfied this is right, then we need to walk it and see. And if we walk along the right path, then we are sure to reach the safe destination. When we walk, then this vimati, the inability to decide about whether something is right or not, this automatically will become eliminated. Some people also they believe that in rites and rituals, like if we bathe in water, this water will purify us. And this type of belief will also automatically be eliminated by walking the right path. So it's very important to find the right path. So this is the right path of practice. Practice it and see it is guaranteed to work. If this path is correct, then one will become free of doubt about, what happens sometimes is people wonder, is this teacher good, is that teacher right? And people have doubt about what is the right path. But when one walks the correct path, one becomes free of this type of doubt also. So one who is able to reflect will search for a way to become a true human being and to have a humane mentality and to develop special human knowledge. Such a one will search for a path like this without rest.
Every little sit down, you ma locally. The get you the Puku ha. To get you the Puku, Miss of ya, near Yuche Peter. Don't you Yuche Peter? They Arena Dore Ne Samyakara Ruka Mula Tipi Yen, Tipi out, Tipi Wonchi body. Don't Samyakara Ludan Kissed Niatana Udiniatana Dolus over the door set of them so now. We are in here, she does somebody, typically, in it. Peter typically very party, Ruka Mula Saravali. Peter Luther Susan 11, Eralican. The art of Buria, I'm not thinking that they are left by the care like. I don't 2 years of people. Eliatana Yaulavi Solution. Jenny Money Lela, who Jenny come at the Panapala. Jealousy, my lady called my dear Kama. Kona. Then she wishes to the 2 people. Take bit of money there come, 1 bag of 6 euro. Pony, pay. But a legion lower. Senior solution level, she don't think of it. Lanay body, Italy. Yen be a super year. Super got a Obama, but true melo. Yakli Yala, come, you did see such a Mayamana lobby solution. I mean, all work all. She money now, my sister below. Makalidi Kongla. Ericajaro, Yogi and the Piola. The Yellow Yabo. Erica Numa secretly Tashina there. Erica Seneca, Tibo. Winera Shidala. Shivu. Wallogy Shidala, Talem Shivu. TV solution, secretary of Shiniro. Materials are Piaunia, educated. Lower candidate, other king, Mohole candidate. Loju, lower candidate, educated. Secrets of Mujuhula candidate. Over the king of secretary of Shini solution, Mabidi Ione, Titi. Tanta Matiti, no fountain reality, Pinchas reality, one way slow shadow reality, she don't look shadow reality, She don't draw a lot of land and charity, a little thing, Chanzaro. But look on the room. Secretary Tansian looked at me, Pama Kriya, the Shani Woman. Dilemma, Treachery level. Would you have to teach the Maridi, Pawana, the Marikandari? I only imagine a table of the woman, Liki, or Luciana, Piyari Padora. I don't know, maybe I will teach my volley. The Maribagan, Tomane, Piyamagan, Napa, Dari Padora, Pilaga, and the Gorego, subjects of little Tilari, Piers of Lucia. Eddie Kaitama, Julian how Day shall not hope with Melu. Serena Tilaria Panida. Samawaja Samana Samajiva Kore. Serena Tilaria Panida. Eddie Serena Tila, Tomione. Shulema Panide, making Avione, Posale, making Shipa. Kerala feel a chance of children that Tansin. Today, I'm feeling a period of Nagari that I love Pikumiabu. By my native value, Eddie Kaitani, Makilita, Muba, Piatware. A chan and Kilitari. Taking what a lady have a lot of Tambusi the left. There are Ekayano, Bakery, Maggo. SADHU Soktiya, Yeridan Chata, Sripatana Srata. Long what dancing to Amagan is a dancing Fission, but was a pioneer for the second. Tansi or Loma, Amagan is a dancing who yet.
For one who really wants to practice, to make one's human life high level, the Buddha recommended 3 places: Aranya, Rukamula, and Sonyagara. Aranya means a forest, and Rukamula means a place either under the foot of a tree or near trees. Sonyagara means a place that is free of human sounds. So here, this is a forest, but it's not a true forest, because nearby there are homes. Here we have trees, so there's the Rukamula. We are in the environment with many trees, and it is also free of human sounds. So, when one gets to a suitable place for practice, then one needs to learn the method. And after 1 week or so of applying the method, when the noting is good, think for yourself, is purity there or not? When one sits, one focuses the mind on the abdomen and observes rising and falling, again and again, rising and falling. In the walking, one observes, works to observe every lifting, every moving, and every placing. Although one observes, knowledge does not yet arise, but still, if one keeps on doing this so that one observation follows another, one noting follows another, so that they are continuous, then amazing power is developed, and the yogi starts to feel a little bit happy. At that time, the mind is clean. At this time, when the mind is clean, is there any sadness arising? No. Is there any wanting this or that? No. At these times, the mind is clean, free of these. So, at this time also, moha, delusion, is eliminated. There's no anger, depression, no greed. So when the mind is clean, then the mind starts to know the rising and the falling. One knows the movement of the abdomen. one can follow it. One knows the movement of the legs when one observes during walking. And in making the mind pure like this, there's no machine being used. It's just a development of virya, sati, and samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. So these three factors make up the samadhi group of the path. We aim accurately at the object, and when knowledge arises, then the wisdom factors of the path are present. Every time we know the object, there's the three factors of the samadhi concentration group of the path, and the two factors of the wisdom panya portion of the path. And we also keep sila, although we are not in a situation where we are encountering opportunities to transgress. We have the intention to avoid wrong actions. And so, in terms of cetana or intention, our sila is complete, because we have the intention to not speak wrongly, do wrongly, or have wrong livelihood. So these factors of the path, the sila portion of the path, sama kamanta, sama vacha, sama ajiva, right action, right speech, right livelihood, these are present. So with this, all 8 factors of the path are present. If these factors are complete, then the gross level of kilesas are eliminated. And the obsessive level of defilements, they have no chance to arise in the mind. The latent defilements are being eliminated moment by moment in each time we know. So this is very valuable. And this is what the Buddha meant when he said, Ekayano ayang bekave Maggo yadidang chataro satipatthana. This is the only path. This is the sure path, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So in walking this path, one can become a completely pure being, but only if one develops purity second by second will one come to possess purity and wisdom. As soon as one observes the rising and falling, as soon as one observes at the very, when one just begins to observe rising and falling, when one just begins to observe lifting, moving, and placing, knowledge doesn't arise yet, but one is practicing. And when we can gain something by practicing, then we need to practice so that we will gain that. So in order to do this, first of all, one needs to learn the method, and one needs to understand the benefits that it brings and the drawbacks that are involved when one doesn't follow the method. And then one needs to work respectfully. So this is very important. This practicing again and again, applying our observation again and again, is what is meant by anupassana, repeated observation. When one's skill is developed, then virya, sati, samadhi, and panya, effort, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom automatically arise. So tomorrow Sayadawgyi would like to speak about how when the practice is developed, the noting mind flows. The noting mind flows like a river. And in this practice, what is the substance of this type of practice? And what powers are present in it? Sayadawgyi will talk about that tomorrow. That's all for today.